Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm at a very sunny and very hot Donington Park. I'm here with Ducati for one of their customer track days. Hopefully you've seen my recent video where I took out one of the Panigale V2S's. This afternoon I'm stepping it up, but not a Panigale, this is a Streetfighter. No fairing, big wings, big power. These start about 25 grand, although this one is a little bit more than that. It has fancy forks and a few other bits and pieces. You're looking at 216 horsepower on a bike that weighs less than 190 kilos. So I think it's going to keep me very, very busy and very, very entertained. There's so much going on, so many electronics, wheelie control, traction control, ABS control, you name it, it's got it. I'm not going to play around with any of those. I'm just going to stick it in sport because I am a novice and I definitely don't want to throw this bike and myself down the road. While we're talking about that, big shout out to RST for providing me with kit, my leathers, my boots, got some fancy new gloves, and Arai for a lovely, lovely lid. This suit's actually got an airbag in it, which is all armed and ready to go should I need it. Hopefully I won't. Just a little reminder that this is essentially my second ever track day. The first track day I did about a month ago out in Andalusia in Spain, and it was mixed conditions. It had been raining all morning, so the track was damp and wet in patches. But ironically, I was actually on a BMW M1000R, which is BMW's version of this Streetfighter V4S. Very similar power figures, weight figures, etc. The V4s in Streetfighter or in Panigale are definitely bigger bikes compared to the V2s. So that Panigale V2S that I was on this morning was great, but just a little bit too cramped for me. Whereas the 4s, as soon as you get on them, they just feel bigger. It feels very much like my old downhill mountain bike. I feel very comfortable in here, and I've got lots of room on the seat to slide around. There are so many nice small details on this bike. You can see why it costs upwards of £25,000. Although some might say that I'm a BMW guy with one motorbike and two cars, I've always admired and appreciated Ducati. There's just something very, very special about them. And of course, these days they win everything in MotoGP, so they must be doing something right. And judging by the Panigale V2S that I rode this morning, well, it feels incredible, really, really impressive bit of kit. So I am looking forward to trying this one out and all that power around this beautiful circuit in this incredible weather. So before the next session starts, let's go and grab my helmet and have some fun on this Streetfighter V4S. As with the Panigale V2S, it was impossible to commentate. Number one, because of the excessive wind noise on the mic, and number two, because I was focusing so much. This is my first flying lap, just going through Redgate and approaching Hollywood, and then about to head down through the Craner curves, which on this Streetfighter just felt incredible because you're sitting more upright on the bike. Just felt unreal, like nothing I'd ever experienced before. Coming out to the old hairpin, and now we're heading back up to Starkey's Bridge, the Schwantz curve, approaching here about 110 miles an hour, and then back down into third gear through McLean's. And everything on this bike just felt a lot easier to me, and I don't know if it was because of the wider handlebars, and once again it reminded me very much of being back on my downhill race bike. Now we're coming out of Coppice and onto the back straight, and this thing was just so impressive. It was pulling little wheelies at 140 odd miles an hour. In fact, the highest speed I spotted down the back straight there was 151 miles an hour, which is about 20 miles an hour quicker than on the V2S. That was a completely different level. I fit the Streetfighter V4S so much better, so I feel much more comfortable in the cockpit area. I need to try and explain what I've just experienced with the Streetfighter V4S. Holy moly, I feel so much more comfortable on the V4 as well. I had a quick go on the V2S Streetfighter earlier on and I felt a bit cramped on that, just like the Panigale V2S. So definitely, if you're taller and you can afford and justify it, go for the 4s. They're so much roomier, so much more comfortable, and so much faster. In my Panigale V2S video, I said you don't need any more than 120 horsepower, and you don't, to be honest, especially as a road bike or even on track. I mean, I'm sure someone handy on a V2S is going to run rings around a V4S with an amateur on it. Oh my goodness. And the braking ability, again, because I've got more room, I can position my body better and brake a bit harder. I'm going to take this helmet off because I'm about 1,000 degrees in here, and yeah, I'll see you for my last session shortly. Right then, here we go. Second and final session on the V4S Streetfighter. I've lifted the mount up a little bit more, so hopefully you'll be able to see a little bit more. I'm going to be following Mr. Chops. As we just talked about, this second and final session I am following Chopsy, and he is in the distance there. I think he's on a Panigale V4S, and obviously Chopsy is a much more experienced, better rider than me, but it didn't stop me trying to hang on to his coattails. Again, you could see I pulled a little wheelie there, 145 miles an hour or something, which felt really scary but very exhilarating. Change of direction through the foggy S's, just so much fun again on this lovely bike. Loads of space in the cockpit area in the seat. Now we're coming back around again to start another lap. This is a little bit chopped up, this footage, because there was a bit of traffic. Although I had now upgraded to the intermediate category, I was in novice on the V2S, and that made a big difference because there was a lot less traffic than in the novice. We are now once again behind Chopsy and starting another lap. Down the start-finish straight, this thing's just a rocket ship. Getting close to the pit wall there, felt so good. Again, it was a good 15 miles an hour quicker than the V2S, and that straight is not very long, so managing to do that much more of a top speed is massively impressive. Just shows you how much power and how fast this bike is. Again, coming down the craner curves, just beautiful. The video completely flattens it out because in reality you can really feel the downhill, and then you hit this dip here through the old hairpin, you start climbing up. The bike's just lovely all the way through here. I think I managed nearly 120 miles an hour through there, but I'm sure the bike is capable of going a lot faster. And even watching this footage back now a few weeks on, I wish I had pushed it a little bit harder, but obviously on the day, the last thing I wanted to do was crash the bike and therefore crash myself. I just wanted to enjoy myself, but walk away from a brilliant day and definitely not damage any of Ducati UK's beautiful bikes. Did I mention I really, really want a Streetfighter V4S? I'll hopefully get a press bike soon and see what it's like on the road. This is me finishing my final session and saying farewell. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. It's going to take me a long time to come back down to earth. A long, long time. Wow. That was awesome. You joined me about 2 hours after getting off the bike. I've cooled down in the lovely air conditioning of the M5 Touring, and I've waited this long to turn the cameras on because I kind of needed to reset my brain and understand what has just happened. And I'm sure that's going to continue for the next few days because I can't get my head around how incredible that bike is. How incredible today was, really was. Started the day on a Panigale V2S. If you missed that video, there'll be a link to it up here somewhere. I haven't ridden that many bikes, as you know. And in fact, aside from the Panigale this morning, I'd never ridden a Ducati, only BMWs up to this point. And the most powerful and fastest bike I've ever ridden is BMW's M1000RR, which is the competitor to the Streetfighter V4S. And I actually rode that out on track in Spain about 5 or 6 weeks ago. Conditions were a little bit slippery, so I didn't get a proper feel of the bike. And I also think that I've learned a lot about riding bikes in those last 5 or 6 weeks. So automatically I felt a lot more comfortable on the Streetfighter, plus the weather, the sticky tires. I mean, the Ducati did have everything playing for it, but that's not taking anything away from what an incredible bike that V4S is. One thing I took away from today's awesome track day is that modern Ducati sports and superbikes are very user-friendly thanks to all of the electronics. And you're not actually aware, or I wasn't aware of all of the electronics intruding, you know, giving me traction control out of slower corners, helping with wheelie control, etc. It all felt very organic and I couldn't notice any of that happening. And in fact, Chops followed me on one of those final sessions and he said that I was laying down black lines, leaving some of the slower corners. So that's clearly the bike and the electronics doing its work really, really well, because if that all suddenly switched off, I think I would end up high-siding the bike because my throttle control just isn't good enough. But saying that, if I knew everything was switched off, I'd definitely be a lot more cautious with the throttle out of second gear, hairpins, etc. But it's really cool and interesting for me, and hopefully any of you looking to buy one of those bikes or any modern Ducati, and let's be honest, BMW and many other super bikes out there, electronics have come so far now that you can ride them relatively quickly at a novice level. A bit like modern cars, you know, this M5 Touring, if I had all the traction stability switched on, most people could pedal this car relatively quickly. When you turn all that stuff off, you can then take it to another level, but you need to know what you're doing when you switch all that off. A little bit in a car and a lot on a motorbike. Massive thanks to Sarah and her team at Ducati UK, Miko and everyone else that I talked to and met today. It's just been awesome and everyone's been so helpful, especially my instructor, Mark. Mark, if you're watching this, thank you so much. And I'm almost figuring out where to put my feet on those pegs. I will improve. Next time I see you, I would have nailed that, hopefully. Definitely made a huge difference. Also, massive thanks to Chopsy, Lamb Chops Rides, for being just an awesome bloke, a friendly face. I've only met him a couple of times, but he is exactly the guy that you see in videos. He's just a really, really genuinely nice bloke. So thanks, mate, and massive thanks to everyone watching my content, who subscribe to the channel, etc., etc. I'm going to stop talking. Goodbye.